The project begins to take shape. As the plans for the retreat house took shape, the primary concern for both friars was the building. The former convent had been vacant for years and fallen into disrepair. Walls were damaged, the windows needed to be replaced. The building reeked of mold and decay. It was an easy target for demolition by the city of New York, and probably would have been had it not been owned by the Archdiocese and Our Lady of Pity Parish. But the friars were not put off. The neighborhood surrounding the retreat house was on the cusp of a slow urban renewal plan, so slow that I initially grew angry over what I had seen in the streets, the buildings, the empty lots, Father Joe said. The people who lived and worked in the area, known on city maps as Mott Haven, seemed to be living in anything but a haven. They were, however, convinced they could get the house back into livable condition and make a difference to the neighborhood, but at what cost? They would need funding. They decided to approach the friars of the province of the Immaculate Conception for financial help, mostly to get major repairs done. In a letter to the province dated April 22nd, 1982, Fathers Andre and Joe outlined the proposal for a retreat house for the poor. It stated in part, "Given the fact that the South Bronx is a nationally recognized symbol of urban suffering, and given the fact that the Franciscans have an 80-year-old tradition of service in Our Lady of Pity Parish, the project proposes a ministry with the poor of the South Bronx, utilizing the vacant convent of the same parish. The purpose of this project is twofold. First, to minister with the poor of the South Bronx by helping them become aware that their physical needs are true signs of deeper personal and interpersonal needs which Jesus came to heal. The poor can be ministered to in many ways. However, will one's hunger truly be quenched when only food is supplied? Welfare, food stamps, aid programs for dependent children, public housing all give bread. Yet greater, deeper realities do exist. Do the poor know the satiety that comes from being respected, treated with dignity and served with justice? Does the materialistic vision of the good life assuage one's hunger for meaningfulness and purposefulness of life? Therefore, the project proposes to offer retreats to the poor for free. Second, to minister to both clergy and religious mostly during the week by offering a place of solitude for prayer and by providing the opportunity for Franciscans to live the rule of Francis for hermitages. Therefore, the project proposes to offer an opportunity for prayerful experiences to those ministering to the poor of the South Bronx, so that the Lord might lead them into the desert and speak to their hearts. The appeal was simply stated. Not only was the South Bronx in dire physical and economical condition, but the friars recognized that there was spiritual bleakness. Father Andre saw the retreat house as a respite, a place where residents could come to pray and be nourished. This was not a reflection on the existing parishes. Rather, it was another way to minister to the marginalized. Although there were retreat houses in New York at the time, many of them were upstate. Few, if any, offered retreats for free. On June 15, 1982, Father Andre went before the Council of the Province of the Immaculate Conception with the proposal. Although the members were their spiritual brothers, many of them they'd known for years, some questions were raised for which Father Andre had few answers. Some of the council members were very interested in a project with the poor right in the heart of our Franciscan province during the 800th anniversary of St. Francis's birth. So they almost eagerly embraced the project, he said. But others were more cautious and not sure if the project would be of help or succeed. He felt in his heart that he was doing the right thing. Questions of sustainability were raised. There was no doubt that this project was a financial risk. The province had to be financially prudent. When I look back to the days before the doors of the portion opened, I recall the time when Andre and I first approached Father Alban Montella, the provincial minister, with Andre's idea to begin a free retreat house for the people. A free retreat house. Of course, that phrase had to be explained. The house was to be a place where people could come for spiritual refreshment, for a retreat in the city. Dorothy Day had similar ideas and ministries, although they were not called ministries at the time, Father Joe said. She encountered glares and questioning from various levels of society, except from the poor. I don't recall the glares, but I do remember the questioning. Yet the portion and the idea that the retreat house would be free for people took hold. Was this a work of the Spirit? I think so, said Father Joe. Yes, something about the endeavor caught on. And despite the difference of opinion, the project was approved very soon after my visit to the council, said Father Andre. Days later, Fathers Joe and Andre received a letter from Father Alban. The letter, dated June 18th, stated in part, "The Definitory is happy to endorse the project. Ministry with the Poor, submitted by you as one of the projects for the 800th anniversary of the birth of St. Francis. The project is approved for 3 years. The approval is contingent upon the acceptance of the proposal by the Archdiocese of New York." The Archdiocese of New York gave official approval on June 30th, and on July 7th, Father Jim, as pastor, drew up a lease for the building. The annual rental fee was $1 to Our Lady of Pity Parish. Looking back, Father Andre doesn't know exactly what influenced the council's decision. I believe they just took a risk to let it happen, trusting that if it were of God, it would work. And why not? The project got to the root of what St. Francis was all about, helping the poor. As the pieces were falling into place with the Archdiocese and the province, the lay volunteers were beginning to mobilize. They coordinated their efforts to begin renovating the building. In doing so, the volunteers were heeding a call to holiness, one that was put forth by St. Francis.